Nicholas Williams stood before the towering insectoid form of Queen Murloc, unflinching in the face of her intimidating presence. The human diplomat's audacity to approach the Ktarian monarch sent shockwaves through the crystalline throne room. On the Ktarian homeworld, Nicholas had arrived to negotiate a crucial trade agreement between Earth and this enigmatic alien species. The Ktarians, known throughout the galaxy for their aggressive demeanor and aversion to physical proximity, had historically shunned close contact with other races. Their touch-based telepathic abilities made such interactions dangerous and uncomfortable. As Nicholas entered the ornate chamber, he observed the massive chitinous forms of Ktarian guards flanking the Queen's throne. Bioluminescent light danced off their exoskeletons, casting an otherworldly glow throughout the room. Queen Murloc's compound eyes fixed upon the human, her antennae twitching with curiosity. The air grew thick with pheromones as the Queen's presence intensified. Ktarian attendants cowered and retreated, their instincts urging them to maintain a safe distance. Yet Nicholas remained steadfast, his immunity to the pheromones allowing him to approach without hesitation. Queen Murloc's eyes widened, her mandibles clicking in surprise at the human's bold advance. The Ktarian court buzzed with alarm and confusion, their collective drone rising to a fever pitch. Nicholas, unaware of the social taboo he had broken, presented the human proposal for intergalactic cooperation with unwavering confidence. Intrigued by the diplomat's fearlessness, Queen Murloc dismissed her court with a wave of her segmented limb. As the last of the attendants scurried from the chamber, she leaned forward, towering over Nicholas. "You are different," Queen Murloc's voice resonated, a mix of clicks and vibrations. "No being has dared approach us so closely in generations." Nicholas, maintaining his composure, replied, "I come in peace, Your Majesty. Humanity seeks to build bridges, not walls." As they conversed, Nicholas learned of the Ktarians' unique abilities and the reason behind their isolationist behavior. The Queen, in turn, found herself fascinated by humanity's apparent resistance to Ktarian influence. "I propose a series of private meetings," Queen Murloc declared, "to explore human culture more deeply." Nicholas agreed, seeing an opportunity to strengthen the alliance between their species. However, as he left the throne room, he failed to notice the calculating gleam in the Queen's compound eyes. Unbeknownst to Nicholas, these meetings were part of a larger Ktarian plot. Queen Murloc saw in humanity a potential threat and an opportunity. By understanding human psychology, the Ktarians hoped to subjugate Earth and its colonies, expanding their influence across the galaxy. The fate of human-Ktarian relations hung in the balance. Nicholas's diplomatic skills would be put to the ultimate test as he navigated the treacherous waters of alien customs and hidden agendas. One misstep could spark an intergalactic war, while success might forge an unprecedented alliance. With each step deeper into the heart of Ktarian power, Nicholas Williams carried the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The question remained, could he uncover the truth behind Queen Murloc's sudden interest in humankind before it was too late? Nicholas Williams adjusted his collar as he approached the crystalline doors of Queen Murloc's private chamber. The Ktarian guards flanking the entrance chittered softly, their compound eyes tracking his every move. As the doors parted, Nicholas stepped into a room awash with bioluminescent light, emanating from strange, pulsating growths along the walls. Queen Murloc's imposing form loomed before him, her segmented limbs folded regally as she perched on an ornate living throne. "Welcome, Nicholas," she clicked, her antennae twitching with curiosity. "I trust you find our accommodations adequate?" As their meetings progressed over the following days, Nicholas found himself immersed in the intricacies of Ktarian culture. He learned of their complex social hierarchies, their touch-based telepathic abilities, and the reasons behind their long-standing isolation from other species. During one session, Queen Murloc leaned forward, her voice a low buzz. "Tell me, Nicholas, how do humans form connections without the gift of touch telepathy?" Nicholas considered his response carefully. "We rely on verbal and non-verbal communication, Your Majesty. facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, these all play crucial roles in our interactions. The Queen's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Fascinating. And what of personal relationships? How do your kind experience closeness without the merging of minds? As Nicholas explained human concepts of friendship, love, and family, he noticed a subtle shift in the Queen's demeanor. Her usual air of regal detachment gave way to something akin to longing. It dawned on him that her position of power had left her isolated, without genuine connections. Meanwhile, in the human delegation's quarters, Ambassador Marcus Stern paced nervously. "Chen, I need you to find out what's going on with Williams. These prolonged meetings with the Queen, something doesn't add up." Adam Chen, a junior diplomat with sharp eyes and a quick mind, nodded solemnly. "I'll do my best, sir, but infiltrating the Ktarian palace won't be easy." As Nicholas entered the Queen's chamber for their next meeting, he found her agitated, her normally smooth movements jerky and uncertain. "Nicholas," she began, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. I wish to understand more about human connection." Through the haze of the telepathic link, Nicholas glimpsed the Queen's true intentions. Images flashed through his mind. Ktarian warships descending on Earth, human cities subjugated, the galaxy bowing before Ktarian might. He recoiled inwardly, struggling to maintain his composure. But as quickly as the visions of conquest appeared, they were swept away by a tide of human emotions. The Queen's mind, so long deprived of genuine connection, drank in Nicholas's memories like a parched desert absorbing rain. Joy, sorrow, love, fear. The full spectrum of human experience flooded through the link. Queen Murloc broke the connection abruptly, stumbling backward. Her compound eyes widened, mandibles quivering. What was that?" she gasped, her usual poise shattered. As Nicholas left the chamber, his thoughts raced. He now knew the true extent of the Tarian plot, but he had also seen the profound effect human emotions had on the Queen. Could he use this unexpected development to his advantage? Lost in thought, Nicholas nearly collided with Adam Chen as he rounded a corner. Chen's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Williams, we need to talk." Nicholas glanced around, keenly aware of potential eavesdroppers. "Not here," he whispered, guiding Chen to a secluded alcove. Chen wasted no time. "What's really going on with these meetings? The ambassador is getting worried, and frankly, so am I." Nicholas weighed his options. Revealing the truth could compromise his position, but keeping Chen in the dark might cost him a potential ally. As he opened his mouth to respond, a shadow fell across the alcove entrance. Zaxler, the Queen's most trusted advisor, loomed over them. His battle-scarred exoskeleton gleamed in the dim light, mandibles clicking ominously. "Is there a problem, gentlemen?" he hissed, his voice dripping with barely concealed hostility. Nicholas forced a smile. "Not at all, Advisor Zaxler. We were just discussing some minor logistical issues." Zaxler's compound eyes seemed to bore into Nicholas. "Indeed, perhaps you would care to share these issues with me." As Nicholas scrambled for a plausible explanation, he could almost see the gears turning in Zaxler's mind. The Ktarian advisor clearly viewed him as a threat, and Nicholas knew he would have to tread very carefully from now on. Chen, sensing the tension, smoothly interjected. "Actually, advisor, we were hoping to arrange a tour of your impressive military facilities. As a gesture of growing trust between our species, of course." As Zaxler turned to leave, Nicholas caught a glimpse of something in the Ktarian's eyes, a calculating gleam that sent a chill down his spine. He realized that he now faced threats from multiple directions: the Ktarian plot to subjugate humanity, Zaxler's growing suspicion, and the potential mistrust of his own colleagues. Nicholas knew he would have to navigate this treacherous political landscape with utmost care. The fate of human-Ktarian relations hung in the balance, and one false move could spell disaster for Earth and its colonies. As he prepared for his next meeting with Queen Murloc, Nicholas steeled himself for the challenges ahead, knowing that his unique connection with the Queen was both his greatest asset and his most dangerous vulnerability. As Nicholas prepared for his next meeting with Queen Murloc, He steeled himself for the challenges ahead. The weight of Earth's future pressed heavily on his shoulders as he strode through the crystalline corridors of the Ktarian palace. Entering the Queen's private chamber, Nicholas noticed an unusual tension in her posture. Her antennae twitched rapidly, betraying her agitation. "Nicholas," she clicked, her voice low and urgent, "I find myself conflicted. Our recent exchanges have stirred something within me." Nicholas seized the opportunity, carefully probing for information while maintaining his facade of ignorance. "Your Majesty, I'm honored by your trust. Perhaps sharing your thoughts might ease your burden." As their conversation unfolded, Nicholas gleaned crucial details about Ktarian military capabilities and expansion plans. Queen Murloc, caught between her ingrained sense of Ktarian superiority and her newfound empathy for humans, revealed more than she intended. "Our fleets stand ready," she said, mandibles clicking softly. "We have the power to bring order to the galaxy, to shape it as we see fit." Nicholas nodded thoughtfully, his mind racing to process the implications. "And Earth? How do we fit into this grand vision?" The Queen's compound eyes fixed on him, unblinking. "Earth possesses resources we require. Your species' immunity to our influence makes you unique, valuable yet potentially dangerous." As Nicholas left the chamber, his heart pounded. The Ktarians' true intentions were now clear, and he needed to act fast. Meanwhile, in the human delegation's quarters, Ambassador Marcus Stern paced nervously as Adam Chen delivered his report. "Sir William's behavior is increasingly erratic," Chen said, his voice tight with concern. "These prolonged meetings with the Queen, I fear he may have been compromised." Stern's face darkened. "We can't afford any security breaches. Chen, I'm authorizing a full investigation. Monitor Williams closely, but maintain absolute discretion." As Chen nodded and turned to leave, Stern added, "And Chen, if Williams has turned, do whatever is necessary to protect Earth's interests." Unaware of the growing suspicion among his colleagues, Nicholas focused on gathering intelligence. During one of his meetings with Queen Murloc, he managed to access a secure Ktarian database. His eyes widened as he scrolled through detailed plans for a surprise attack on Earth's colonies. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Nicholas knew he had to act. He carefully removed a small encrypted quantum communicator from its hiding place in his quarters. As he prepared to transmit the crucial intelligence back to Earth, the door burst open. Adam Chen stood in the doorway, his face a mask of anger and betrayal. "Williams, step away from that device, now!" Nicholas raised his hands slowly. "Chen, listen to me. This isn't what it looks like." "Save it," Chen spat, advancing into the room. "I've seen enough. You're coming with me to explain yourself to the ambassador." As Chen reached for Nicholas, alarms blared throughout the palace. Ktarian voices echoed through the corridors, growing closer. Before Chen could respond, the door crashed open again. Ktarian guards poured into the room, their chitinous armor gleaming in the harsh light. "Run!" Nicholas shouted, shoving Chen towards the window. Without time to think, they leapt into the alien night, the angry clicks and buzzes of their pursuers close behind. As they raced through the twisting streets of the Ktarian capital, Nicholas and Chen found themselves herded into a narrow alley. Cornered, they prepared for a final stand when a hidden door slid open behind them. With no other options, they ducked inside. The door sealed shut behind them, plunging them into darkness. As their eyes adjusted, they found themselves facing a group of Ktarians unlike any they'd seen before. One stepped forward, her exoskeleton a muted grey instead of the usual iridescent hues. "I am Zira," she clicked softly. "We are those who oppose Queen Murloc's warmongering. We've been watching you, Nicholas Williams, and believe you may be the key to preventing this coming conflict." Nicholas and Chen exchanged wary glances. "How can we trust you?" Chen demanded. Zira's antennae drooped slightly. "You can't, but right now we're your only chance of survival, and Earth's." As the sounds of searching guards grew closer, Nicholas made a split-second decision. "What's your plan?" Zira led them through a maze of hidden tunnels, explaining as they moved. "We've tapped into the palace's communication network. If you have information that can expose the Queen's plans, we can help you transmit it to your people." They emerged in a dimly lit chamber filled with alien technology. Nicholas quickly set to work, using the quantum communicator to encode and transmit the intelligence he'd gathered. As the data streamed out into space, alarms shrieked to life. "They've detected the transmission," Zira shouted over the din. Tarian security forces began pounding on the sealed doors of the communication center. Nicholas, Chen, and their newfound allies took up defensive positions, knowing that their next actions would determine not only their fate, but potentially that of two civilizations. In her private chambers, Queen Murloc received the news of Nicholas's actions. She reeled, her mind awash with conflicting emotions. The lingering effects of their telepathic connection had shaken her convictions, and now, faced with his apparent betrayal, she found herself questioning everything. As the Queen grappled with her turmoil, she issued orders for a planet-wide lockdown. "Bring Nicholas Williams to me," she commanded, her voice quavering slightly. "Bring him to me now." In the besieged communication center, Nicholas and his companions braced themselves for the coming onslaught. The future of human-Qatarian relations hung by a thread, and the next few moments would determine whether that thread would snap or become the foundation of an unprecedented alliance. As Nicholas and his companions braced for impact, the sealed doors of the communication center burst open with a thunderous crash. Queen Murloc strode in, flanked by her royal guards, their chitinous armor gleaming under the harsh lights. The room fell silent, save for the low hum of machinery and the rapid clicking of Qatarian mandibles. Nicholas locked eyes with the Queen, sensing the turmoil roiling beneath her regal exterior. "Nicholas Williams," Queen Murloc's voice wavered slightly, betraying her inner conflict. "Explain yourself." Nicholas straightened, acutely aware that his next words could determine the fate of two species. He took a deep breath and began to speak, his voice clear and unwavering. "Your Majesty, I've uncovered evidence of a plot against humanity, a plan for invasion and subjugation orchestrated by members of your own court." As Nicholas laid out the details of the Tarian plot, producing data files and communiques as evidence, he noticed a change in the Queen's demeanor. Her antennae twitched rapidly, processing the information. Zaxler, standing behind the Queen, bristled with impossibly strong rage. "Lies and fabrications," he hissed, mandibles clicking furiously. "Your Majesty, this human seeks to drive a wedge between our peoples. We must act now to crush this insurrection." The advisor lunged forward, signaling the guards to attack, but Queen Murloc raised a hand, halting them in their tracks. Her compound eyes fixed on Nicholas, searching for something, truth perhaps, or a reflection of the connection they had shared. In that moment of hesitation, Zira stepped forward, her grey exoskeleton standing out among the iridescent hues of the royal guards. "My Queen," she clicked softly, "we have evidence of our own. Zaxlor has been manipulating you, pushing for war to further his own ambitions." The room erupted into a cacophony of clicking and hissing as accusations flew. Nicholas watched as loyalties shifted, alliances frayed, and uncertainty spread like wildfire among the assembled Qatarians. Drawing upon years of diplomatic experience, Nicholas raised his voice above the din. "Your Majesty, I propose a solution, a direct mind link between us, you, me, and Zira. Share our thoughts, our experiences, our true intentions. It's the only way to cut through the deception and find the truth." A hush fell over the room. The proposal was unheard of. A three-way telepathic connection between humans and Tarians had never been attempted. Queen Murloc's compound eyes widened, her antennae quivering with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. "You would open your mind to me again, knowing the risks." Nicholas nodded solemnly. "For the sake of both our peoples, yes." The Queen turned to Zira, who bowed her head in agreement. "Very well," Murloc declared. "Let it be done." Through the link, the truth became clear. They saw Zaxler's machinations, his careful manipulation of the Queen's fears and insecurities. They felt Zira's anguish at watching her society turn towards aggression and conquest, and they experienced Nicholas's unwavering hope for peaceful coexistence between their species. As the connection faded, Queen Murloc stumbled backward, overwhelmed by the experience. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Zaxlor, you are under arrest for treason against the Qatarian people and conspiracy against our allies." A high-pitched whine filled the air, followed by a blinding flash. Every piece of Qatarian technology in the vicinity went dark, plunging the room into chaos. As emergency lights flickered to life, Nicholas realized the gravity of the situation. "It's an electromagnetic pulse," he shouted over the confusion. "He's disabled your defenses." Queen Murloc's antennae twitched in alarm. The capital is vulnerable, but why would Zaxlor? With communication systems down and the planet's defenses crippled, they faced a race against time. Nicholas's mind worked furiously, searching for a solution. His eyes fell on a group of Qatarians huddled together, antennae touching as they communicated silently. "Your Majesty," he said, an idea taking shape, "your touch-based telepathy. Could it be used on a larger scale? A vast network to spread warnings and coordinate a defense?" The Queen's compound eyes widened at the audacity of the suggestion. It's never been attempted on such a scale, but yes, theoretically it could work. Nicholas nodded, his expression determined. "Then we need to act fast. Zira, can your people help organize this network?" The dissident leader clicked her assent, already moving to gather her followers. As the impromptu alliance sprang into action, Nicholas turned to Chen. "We need to contact Ambassador Stern and the rest of the human delegation. They need to know what's happening." Chen nodded grimly. "I'm on it. But Nicholas, how can we trust that this isn't some elaborate Qatarian trap?" Nicholas placed a hand on his colleague's shoulder. "I've been inside their minds, Chen. This is real, and right now, we're their only hope, just as they're ours." Outside, the sky began to darken as the first ships of the rogue fleet entered the atmosphere. In the streets below, a wave of telepathic communications spread from Qatarian to Qatarian, a vast network of minds coming together in defense of their world. At the center of it all stood Nicholas, Queen Murloc and Zyra, human ingenuity and Qatarian abilities combined in a desperate bid to save both their peoples. As the first explosions lit up the horizon, Nicholas knew that the real battle was just beginning, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. Balance. Explosions illuminated the night sky as the rogue Qatarian fleet descended upon the capital, their weapons blazing. Nicholas, Queen Murloc and Zyra stood at the heart of the command center, coordinating their forces through the vast telepathic network they had hastily established. "We're losing ground in the eastern sector," Chen reported, his eyes fixed on a holographic display of the battle. "Their numbers are overwhelming our defenses." Nicholas's mind raced, searching for a solution. He turned to Queen Murloc, her compound eyes reflecting the chaos unfolding around them. "Your Majesty, we need to try something unprecedented. Your touch-based telepathy. Could we use it to directly interface with and control your ships?" The Queen's antennae twitched in surprise. "It's never been attempted. The neural load could be catastrophic." "But it might be our only chance," Nicholas pressed. "The precision and coordination it could provide, it might give us the edge we need." Queen Murloc considered for a moment, then nodded. "Very well, I trust your judgment, Nicholas Williams." With renewed purpose, Nicholas and Chen set to work modifying the human communication equipment. Their fingers flew over alien interfaces, bridging the gap between Qatarian biology and advanced technology. Zyra coordinated with her people, preparing a group of their most skilled pilots for the experimental neural link. As they worked, Ambassador Stern's voice crackled over the comms. "Nicholas, we've got the human delegation providing tactical support. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. We can't hold them off much longer." The minutes ticked by, each one punctuated by the sound of distant explosions growing nearer. Finally, Nicholas stepped back from the modified console. "It's ready," he announced, his voice betraying a mix of excitement and trepidation. Queen Murloc approached, flanked by a group of Qatarian pilots. They placed their hands on the newly crafted interface, their exoskeletons gleaming in the dim light of the command center. Nicholas held his breath as he activated the system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Queen Murloc's eyes widened, her antennae vibrating with an intensity Nicholas had never seen before. "By the ancestors," she whispered. "I can feel them, the ships. They're extensions of our bodies." On the holographic display, the Qatarian defense fleet suddenly moved with uncanny precision. Ships danced through the void, weaving impossible patterns that left the rogue fleet struggling to keep up. It was as if the entire defensive force had become a single, perfectly coordinated organism. "It's working!" Chen exclaimed, a rare smile breaking across his face. Nicholas allowed himself a moment of relief before refocusing on the battle. As he watched the intricate dance of ships, a pattern began to emerge in the rogue fleet's movements. Something about their coordination seemed familiar. "Zaxler," Nicholas muttered, realization dawning. He must be coordinating the attack somehow, even from his cell. Without hesitation, Nicholas turned to Chen and Zira. "We need to confront Zaxalor now." The trio raced through the palace corridors, the sounds of battle growing more distant as they descended into the detention levels. They found Zaxalor in his cell, sitting unnaturally still, his eyes unfocused. "He's in some kind of trance," Zira observed, her antennae twitching nervously. Nicholas studied the imprisoned Qatarian, his mind racing through possible solutions. Drawing on his experiences with Qatarian telepathy, he made a decision. "I'm going to try to disrupt his connection." Before Chen could protest, Nicholas reached through the force field and placed his hand on Zaxalor's carapace. The world fell away as Nicholas plunged into a maelstrom of alien thoughts and sensations. He found himself in a vast mental landscape, surrounded by pulsing strands of light that he instinctively knew represented Zaxalor's control over the rogue fleet. Nicholas pushed through the psychic web, disrupting connections and sowing confusion. In the physical world, Chen and Zira watched as Nicholas's body tensed, his face contorted with effort. Suddenly, Zaxalor's eyes snapped open, and he let out an inhuman screech. Nicholas stumbled backward, breaking the connection. "Did it work?" Chen asked, steadying his friend. Nicholas nodded, catching his breath. "I think so. We need to get back to the command center." They rushed back, arriving just in time to see the holographic display erupt into chaos. The rogue fleet, once moving with deadly precision, now floundered in disarray. "This is our chance," Queen Murloc declared, her voice resonating through the telepathic link. "All ships launch the final assault." The combined human-Qatarian force surged forward. Qatarian ships, still linked to their pilots' minds, executed maneuvers that defied conventional tactics. Human vessels provided supporting fire, their advanced weaponry punching through the enemy's faltering defenses. Within minutes, the tide of battle had turned completely. Rogue ships were disabled or forced into submission, their crews surrendering in the face of inevitable defeat. As the last enemy vessel powered down its weapons, a cheer erupted in the command center. Humans and Qatarians alike embraced, their differences forgotten in the shared triumph of victory. Queen Murloc turned to Nicholas, her compound eyes shimmering with an emotion he couldn't quite place. "Nicholas Williams," she began, her voice carrying across the room, "your courage and insight have saved not only my people but yours as well. You have shown us the true strength that comes from cooperation and understanding." Nicholas felt a weight lift from his shoulders as the reality of their victory sank in. He looked around at the unlikely allies surrounding him, Chen, Zira, Queen Murloc, and countless others who had come together in the face of crisis. As the celebration began to quiet, Queen Murloc raised her voice once more. "Let this day mark the beginning of a new era. No longer shall Qatarians and humans live in fear and mistrust of one another. Together, we will forge a future of peace and prosperity for both our peoples." The room erupted in applause and the clicking of Qatarian mandibles. Nicholas caught Chen's eye across the room, sharing a moment of silent understanding. They had started this journey as reluctant partners, and now stood as friends who had helped reshape the future of two species. Queen Murloc approached Nicholas, her voice lowered for privacy. There is much work to be done, Nicholas. Will you stay and help us build this new alliance? Nicholas nodded, a sense of purpose filling him. It would be my honor, Your Majesty. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the palace windows, Nicholas looked out over the Ktarian capital. The city bore the scars of battle, but already he could see signs of repair and renewal. Humans and Ktarians worked side by side, clearing debris and tending to the wounded. Nicholas knew that challenges lay ahead. There would be treaties to negotiate, cultural barriers to overcome, and lingering prejudices to address. But as he watched the sunrise paint the alien sky in hues of purple and green, he felt a profound sense of hope. The impossible had become possible. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with an advanced alien civilization, but had forged an alliance that promised to reshape the galaxy. And it had all started with a simple act of reaching out, of choosing understanding over fear. As Nicholas turned back to the room full of his new allies, he couldn't help but wonder what other marvels and challenges awaited them in this brave new era of interstellar cooperation. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.